Okay, so Evan Nashblade has lost the debate or the campaign, and I get to make my video. Wah, wah, wah. It's taken way too long to make this, and my first explanation of this entire build took 20 minutes. Let's do better. So, crazy conditions. That's what this is all about. You'll see in here 100% condition duration. How do I get such a thing? Well, I'll show you. Key elements of your stats in this. You want a decent amount of condition damage, at least over 1,000, at least 30% critical chance, and from that point you can kind of tweak it, but you're going to want some defense. You're definitely going to want some vitality, get some health, you're going to want some armor. I mean, I really should have more in this, but you'll kind of see what I'm dinking around with. So, excuse me. The condition duration, you're kind of wondering how you get this. It's a combination of food, my weapon stats, and my traits. And okay, my armor, carrying stats, power, vitality, condition damage. My runes, the goal of this, two runes Alyssa for the condition duration. A little bit of precision, nice. Right now I'm using necromancer, which is not what I want. I want 4 runes of the nightmare, which you get from a dungeon, which is why I don't have them yet. It basically would trade that vitality for another 10% condition duration. It's just solid. You'll see. So carrying armor, giver's weapons, which is precision, vitality, and condition duration. And my accessories are rabid. So I kind of, precision, toughness, condition damage. I've got the wrong orbs in there, but the final stuff I'm going to have ascended, and it's going to all be rabid. So I'm going to, you kind of get that for your crit, a bit of armor for defense, but all your sets of gear are going to bump up your condition damage or duration. So, okay. You get to see, your basic stuff, condition duration, crit chance, and condition damage. Remember all those stats. Now, other stuff I've got in here, all of my sigils are superior sigils of earth for, 60% chance on crits to inflict bleeding. It says 5 seconds, but in this case, it'll be 10. There's no cooldown on that. That's one of the keys to this. Every time you crit, you will have that chance to bleed your target. Now, the only sigil that I have that's different, corruption. You can't ever go wrong with another 250 possible condition damage. That's pretty much it. I even have sigils of earth on my underwater weapons because it kicks ass for that. Okay, so moving along. Traits. 30 in spite, 30 in curses. The last 10 you can put to whatever you want. I'm experimenting with these, so you don't have to go for this. But spite, this is where some of your condition duration comes from. Curses, more precision, more condition damage. Okay, your important traits. It doesn't matter so much with your 10 point. You can either do spiteful removal or signet mastery, whichever works for you. Very, very, very important here is Chill of Death, Spinal Shivers. 25% chance, when they hit a quarter health, it'll hit them with Spinal Shivers. Strips up to 3 boons, does some damage, does extra damage for each boon it's stripped, and will chill them. For normally it'll be 5 seconds, but since you got condition duration, it's 10 seconds of chill. That's a long chill. That can trigger once every 20 seconds. That'll come up much more often than you'd think, and really is the kiss of death for anybody that's you're whooping up on. This is key for single target damage in this build. Dhuumfire. Burning when you critically hit an enemy. It lasts 4 seconds, but in this build, that's 8 seconds, and it can trigger every 10 seconds. So you can almost keep it up 100% of the time. That's awesome. Okay, your 5-point trait in this build makes it amazing. Critical hits have a 66% chance to cause bleeding. This will stack with your Sigils of Earth. So when you crit, you burn. You also have a chance to bleed with this, and you also have a chance to bleed with your Sigil. Not to mention whatever your attack is already doing. That is amazing. Okay, now other stuff in curses. I went with hemophilia, but you can't go over 100% condition duration normally, and this doesn't count. So it kind of got scrapped, and I fell in love with Weakening Shroud. Enfeebling Blood when entering Death Shroud. That's your number 5 on the dagger, offhand. Bleeding and Weakness for, in this build, an extremely long time. So that's just extra damage when you pop in a Death Shroud, which you will very often in this build. A little bit of Fury, extra crit, awesome. Terror, your fear will deal damage and additional 50% damage if they have another condition on them. Fear deals damage similar to the level of burning, just like your Dhuumfire, except when they have other conditions on them, in this build they will. It deals over 1,000 damage a tick. It's amazing. You will see it a lot. Target to weak, not huge, but just extra damage for each condition on foe. Awesome in this build. Okay, your 30-point trait is up for debate. I've been using Withering Precision, 5 seconds of weakness, which will be 10. Can only trigger once every 20 seconds. That's just solid. Other stuff you can use, Spectral Attunement. You can go with Lingering Curse, and Lingering Curse is special because it breaks the 100% duration barrier. But it really only counts for your auto attack on Scepter and your Grasping Dead, which Grasping Dead makes the conditions last longer than the cooldown by far. It's awesome for that. Another good one, Master Corruption. Corruption skills work so well in this build, and you will see why. Okay, your last 10 points, you can do whatever. Death Magic is really solid just for the extra defense, but Blood Magic isn't bad either. Soul Reaping isn't bad either. It's just what what works for you. So play around, have some fun with that, and on to my next stuff. Okay. You see Scepter is awesome. Single target, not a projectile, so it can't be reflected. Awesome. Every attack, it's either bleed, poison. So, and if you crit, of course, you have a chance to add all these other conditions that you've seen up here. It's kind of ridiculous. It just really is. Grasping Dead, big AoE, you target, boom. Very long cripple in this build. I mean, the cripple just normally lasts the duration of the cooldown. So that's amazing. Feast of Corruption, you deal more damage for the number of conditions on your target and gain more life force for each one. Pretty awesome. Deathly Swarm blinds your targets. It bounces up to 3 times. And any conditions you have on you, you give to that target. And yeah, it'll use your condition damage for that. Enfeebling Blood, I just went over. Nothing too fancy. Other weapon in this is your staff. Necrotic Grasp, you hardly ever will use that. Don't even worry about it. Mark of Blood, 3 stacks of bleed for 12 seconds. That's double the cooldown. You are going to be handing out bleeds everywhere. And since this hits multiple targets, you have multiple chances to crit. While only one person can get that fire, that's a lot of other bleed chances for other targets. Chillblains, very long chill, poison, putrid mark, awesome. Blast finisher, but they have to actually trigger it for the blast to go off. Now, this kind of has a side bonus. It's very similar to Deathly Swarm, where when you hit a target with it, it'll give your condition to them. That's what putrid mark does. When it triggers, whatever you have on you, well, I think it's just one condition, but it'll give it to them. It won't help your allies' conditions, which is like some bug. Okay, Reaper's Mark. In this, my food ran out. In this, 2-second fear. 2 seconds where they're taking damage, and it's a huge AoE interrupt. You will see this used for interrupting finishing moves, interrupting revivals, and everybody's favorites, fearing thieves out of Shadow Refuge. Yes, I will use that a lot. Okay, last thing that's one of your primary weapons is Death Shroud. I don't have enough time or life force to really show you, but this is kind of going to be, yes, a couple seconds. Your 2 big abilities in this or your 3, and your 5. Usually I'll pop into Death Shroud, which also activates Enfeebling Blood. Boom! Hit the 5 for Tainted Shackles. Boom! Put a bunch of Torment on people. Get close to one guy, doom him. If you're close, it's a 3-second fear. I don't use Life Transfer much or Life Blast, but Dark Path is also awesome. 3 stacks of Bleed for 10 seconds and Chill for 10 seconds, and it teleports you to your target. That's awesome if you drop that, get close to them, and fear them. While they're feared, they're going to be taking all your conditions and just dying horrible, agonizing death. And yes, I'm not in Death Shroud for long. Pop in, pop out, you're good to go. You don't have to stay in Death Shroud for Tainted Shackles to continue, so don't worry about that. Consume Conditions, best heal for this build, period. That's it. Utilities, you've got a lot of room to maneuver with this. Solid stuff. Corrupt Boon is always amazing. Transform boons on your phone to negative conditions. It has up to 5 boons. It's really, really amazing. Signature Spite. The active on this is amazing. You can see all these conditions right here. I'm not going to go over all of them, but they all last pretty much 20 seconds except for the blindness. That's a lot of long conditions. Another one, Spectral Wall. 2-second fear when I walk into it. It's amazing. If you trait for Spectral Attunement, the wall will last 7.5 seconds instead of 5. It's just good. Good for chokes. Good for if you need to revive an ally and are keeping people away. There's lots of uses. Now, other skills that are awesome in this: Spectral Grasp, really, really amazing. 8-second chill. Oh, that's just so good. It's a big screw you to whoever's escaping. Blood is power. You bleed your target twice for a minute. Give yourself 20 seconds of bleeding, which you can transfer or just heal off of. It's really all about 10 stacks of might, 350 more condition damage. You can't go wrong. The very last one, Epidemic. Epidemic synergizes so well with this build because you're doing so many conditions, and you can always Signature Spite your target for all these lovely conditions and then spread it around with Epidemic. It's ridiculous. Okay, Elites. I'm going to toss up as to Flesh Golem or Plague. I love both of these. I'm not a big fan of Lich form, and that's just me. But Plague is awesome for the Plague of Darkness to help save an ally. You'll see me use it a few times, hopefully in this video that I put up next. And Flesh Golem, people know it. Just extra damage. There you go. Okay, last but not least, I can even go over underwater stuff.